Welcome to Sandcastle. It is 2021, my goodness, the fourth year, and we have an awesome show tonight. Two showcases, one major final. It'll be a three-round battle that you are delighted to experience. Thank you for being here, Wyoming Blockchain Stampede. Thank you, WyoHackathon and Rich Kopcho and Caitlin and the rest of the team that is the reason why we're all here. Thank you to Martin Lai and Blue Ocean Digital for sponsoring this event starting last year through the next 4 years so that we can give away grant monies to deserving startups, both in the showcase as well as in the competition. And then I'll do a quick shot. You're going to meet them here in a second, but we are blessed to have some incredible judges. Ron Baptiste, co-founder at SDK Culture, Chief Content Officer and Brand Partnership Officer there. Mr. Wendell Johnson, Ministry of Culture and co-founder at SDK Culture, and a dear friend. We've got Scott Stornetta. If you don't know who he is, then you're not in blockchain, but the reason we are all here is because of him and Stuart Haber's work. So we're super blessed to have Scott Stornetta back. Thank you, sir, for being here. We've got Corey Billington, who will be joining us shortly once we get into the final rounds coming out of the University of Wyoming, and Martin, our swing vote, and again, our sponsor. So without further ado, we're going to dive into tonight's format. It'll be a little different this year than last year. So this year we have a final four, but because of some things that happen in startup land, two of the teams that are here tonight, one being an alternate that is deserving and ready to compete, but that we wanted to give a fairer chance to basically compete in the world finals, and who stepped in the last minute, is Bullen Network. We'll be hearing from them shortly, and I'll be doing a modified showcase model that we did in South by back in 2018 tonight on the first half of the program. Then we'll go into halftime, and then we will go into the finals between DNA Block and Lionshare Media, and you are not going to want to miss any of that. So we'll be in and out of here in just over 2 hours, soup to nuts, and we're going to kick this off with a phenomenal startup who recently came through an interesting challenge, but also another opportunity, and that we wanted to still showcase, because what we see in Crucible and Ryan Gill and his vision is absolutely tied to a lot of the themes that we've been highlighting here and that we'll be highlighting throughout the rest of this week as we talk about the open metaverse and we talk about NFT DAO and all these things. But we wanted to give it the right opportunity to be seen for where it is, and he wanted to yield his competition slide to someone and some of the cash to teams that were ready to compete through the normal format. So Ryan, we're going to get started with you in our first showcase here, and we're going to get 10 minutes on the clock. And the way this is going to go, judges, is think about this one more as you're inquiring, you're practicing, you get your question answering right, but also as you're looking at these first two showcases, the request here is these are teams that could compete, but really right now where we're at is we want to help them maybe solve a challenge or unlock an ask that is pressing, and we want the chance for it to be conversational. So we're showcasing them versus having them compete. They are going to be awarded $2,000 in grant money for being here tonight, and they've been curated from a list of a couple hundred startups that could have been here, and so we've chosen them very specifically. But this is really about highlighting some people that are doing amazing work, that are in a phase where they're transitioning or they're moving some piece of their operation or whatever forward. And this is a chance to learn more, and as well as figure out how you can connect with them after this and support them or get involved in their efforts. So Ryan Gill, all the way from the Netherlands, it's like 1 a.m. his time. He looks like it's noon. Welcome to Sandcastle 2021. Thank you for being here, buddy.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
All right, so let's just start out with the problem and the challenge that Crucible is doing. We'll go back and forth like we do, but I want to give you a chance to just level set us on what does Crucible do, and what is the vision of what you're trying to solve and how you're going about it?
So I started the company in the end of 2018 around sort of a personal thesis that I had developed called the open metaverse. It happened to align with a lot of what was happening in gaming, specifically with Tim Sweeney and Epic. And now, fast forward, we've gone through a pandemic together, and this metaverse word is like a buzzword. It's sort of global everywhere. China and Korea are actually taking a lot of the lead there. And it's even gotten to the place where VC circles are just throwing money at it without really understanding it. And to me, just simply the definition of the metaverse is the internet built by game developers. We've had sort of two waves of the internet, web and mobile, both sort of architected by web and mobile developers. And now this next wave into Web3 is basically architected by game developers. And it's important to me that we do this on open protocols and standards. I think it's something that will touch everyone on Earth. It's worth trillions, and it's far too big to allow any one company or a couple companies to really dominate.
And I mean, when we met over a year plus ago, and you've been on a couple of different of our event platforms. We've talked about this, but you're one of the most articulate people to kind of help people who've heard the word but don't know what it means. What is a metaverse? So there's an open metaverse, but what is a metaverse, right? So let's talk about that, and then let's talk specifically about your approach to helping game developers do this and what your vision for that is. But just define for those who are pretending like they know and nodding, but don't really have a good definition of the metaverse. What is it?
Well, I mean, part of the confusion is that no one's agreeing on that, right? I think it depends on the stakeholder and who you're talking to. To me, I call it the open metaverse because I think there's this one environment that is going to be available, much like the internet. So certainly you have certain countries that want to create their sort of firewall away from everyone else. But if you think of it in terms of the internet as opposed to a virtual world, it's much more aligned with the way that I think about it. I think we probably will see a Web 2 metaverse that is all about closed systems and sort of, big tech company collecting data. They're certainly going to go for it, right? We can already see a lot of things that Facebook is doing. But I think the only way to Web 3 is through decentralization. It's a very important part of it. And so we'll probably have a version of both of them. To me, I think it's more interesting to do things on open standards and infrastructure in which you can be rewarded. I think already in the world of NFTs, we've seen that's where the most interesting sort of creativity is blossoming. So you can go back to sort of the science fiction definition. There's a million thought pieces online about this, so I won't be saying anything new, but Snow Crash was the first sort of book to define this as a concept, right? It's sort of a vast world of sort of digital and physical combination. You might think of Ready Player One as well as another book that's kind of interpreted this, but beyond like the science fiction concepts, I think we're really practically about to step into it. And it's going to feel more and more like just an evolution of the internet.
So, some of the examples that we've seen this year is obviously Axie Infinity, and, ones that most parents are familiar with would be something, whether it's Fortnite or Roblox, which again are examples of what I would call Web 2. Doesn't mean they couldn't evolve to Web 3, but they're Web 2 kind of closed metaverses, right? I can't buy something in Roblox and put it on a character in Fortnite. An open metaverse would potentially enable me to do that. Where's Crucible at? Because you've just come through kind of a transition where you've changed the cap table around, you've done some things, and I don't want to pretend that I know exactly where you're going now because some of the things have changed, but you've built an SDK, or you had an SDK that you were going to help deploy for game developers that wanted to, in specific game engines, be able to kind of have a physical to digital edge network platform that they could move assets around on. Is that still where Crucible is focused, or is that evolved? And kind of what is the evolving vision as you now emerge out of this transition and look ahead? Because I know you've put a lot of thought into kind of where you want to stay, but also what you want to move away from as it related to maybe where you started.
Yeah, I mean, if we track back with that definition that the metaverse is the internet built by game developers, then for me, it's important to go where those game developers are, which is one of two game engines or any number of proprietary engines. But you really have Unity and Unreal, which cover 10 million developers. It's where games are being built. It's where applications are being built. It's also where sort of VR and AR and spatial computing is starting to, emerge more and more. So this one sort of framework of software, which really dominates most of the industry that we're talking about with gaming, virtually has no on-chain or decentralized development happening. There's a few plugins here and there, but what we're doing is really creating an SDK in order to introduce Web3 tooling and technologies into the hands of game developers in a way that is simple and in a way that makes sense to them.
And you've also done a lot of work, on your blog as well as through Telegram and things like that, where is the best place for the conversation that you've started to shepherd that is not just about Crucible, that's about kind of the philosophy and those who are aligning with it? Where's the best place for people to kind of dive into that at this point in time?
Well, I had taken a little bit of a break off community, but we're beginning to ramp up. The main place we are is t.me/open-metaverse. It's a Telegram group that I have. It's about 1,200 people. So certainly not the largest, but I think one of the highest quality in terms of who's in there. It's a lot of the founders of these companies, a lot of the publishers, a lot of NFT artists, sort of a combination of different stakeholders that will represent, all the people that are creating this together. We have a Discord. I'm keeping it pretty private right now for testers. Actually, Anthony is here from DNA Block, and he's one of them. I won't say the others, but over the next several months, we're going to start to get things a little bit more ready for play testing. So I think it'll be in the wild in January.
What's something that's a useful ask, a relevant, timely ask that you have, whether it's for the judges, for the community, for anybody watching this, and even if it's like give me a month and then I'll come back with it. Just curious, what's relevant to you guys now as you kind of come out of this with a clean restart?
Yeah, I mean, so just to you're inferring to basically an initiation stage of where the business has been so far. We started it 3 years ago, so it's actually been quite a long, drawn out R&D process. And I've separated from my co-founder. He's gone on to do other things, and we're about to sort of announce the round that we had closed several months ago. I raised money through a DAO structure in which will be established in January. So I have sort of the company, and then I have an association. That association will be a DAO in January. And really that's going to be the thing that moves it all forward. That's going to be very community driven. And the product will be released around the same time. So my priority now is just focusing on product every day. We're going through a lot of engineering so that it's available on both engines. And I think by, end of January is when I'll be able to sort of reach out to the community and everybody will be able to kind of play with it. Prior to that, just come join the community, come be a part of it, engage to the level that you feel interested in this stuff. And we will have some surveys and some opportunities for people to play and test.
Awesome. So before we run a quick demo reel of kind of what you have so that people can have a visual of kind of Crucible and what's going on, and then we'll go into judges' comments and questions as part of the second piece of the showcase. Before we go into that, tee it up for us. What are we going to watch? Give us some context coming in.
Yeah, so what you're going to watch is the work that we had done prior. I haven't shared anything public yet in terms of the new work that we're doing, but you're going to see the intention behind what it is. Our product is called the Emergence Agent, and so it's something we've invented. It's not really a derivative of anything that exists, but you can imagine that the front end feels like a sort of MMO interface, familiar to gamers. The back end is on chain, and it feels a little bit more like a MetaMask.
Yeah, and I'm excited to show it. I think we can move into that now. We got 16 seconds left. So let's just play the reel and then we'll go right into the second 10-minute clip and judges can ask questions. All right, so let's take some judges' questions. We got 10 minutes on the clock. Start with, I'm going to put somebody on the spot who always responds well. Mr. Stornetta, why don't we start with you?
Great. Thanks, Ryan. Really appreciate the chance to meet. Decentraland, Upland, competitor, partner, customer, supplier.
So those are all environments, and those are all built in game engines. The ones you've named largely Unity, so they would sort of drop our SDK in and integrate.
So you see them as a customer?
Yes, it would be up to them, of course. You know, the idea here is interoperability. So these are all blockchain based. They're game engine creations. They can do this stuff on their own. But if they want to start creating connections into AAA gaming, then that's what they would use us for.
Great, thanks.
Okay, I see Mr. Billington. Welcome, sir. Thank you for being here. You want to take a second question since you're the OG of all the judges?
Yeah, could you elaborate on your revenue and profit model? I mean, how you, I agree that somebody's going to make money on this, but why is it going to be you?
Sure, yeah, and the business model really comes second to the product that we're focused on right now, which is really on the authentication piece. So the first use case here is for the authentication of identity. Once that's established, then there's a whole entire network of marketplaces that can exist in which game developers now have tooling for NFTs. There's a new business model in gaming called play to earn. What I would like to do is create it so that play to earn can scale through AAA. We are in sort of the Angry Birds phase of play to earn with a game called Axie Infinity. And it's proven quite a lot, especially on how, like in Southeast Asia, in the Philippines, people can make a living while they've lost their job during COVID. And it's very promising. People spend 10 times as much in play to earn games as they do in any other game. And that's including Fortnite and World of Warcraft and all the sort of biggest spending games. So our model will basically make it easy for game developers in the AAA level to start to introduce this into their game economies.
Awesome. Let's go around the horn. Who wants to go next on the judges? I think Ron's going. We'll let him.
Yes. Hey, how you doing, Ryan? Nice to see you again. I just have one question. With trying to move everyone into this decentralized mode, what has been your biggest challenge?
You know, surprisingly, that hasn't been much of a challenge. The desire for all of this is really an emergent thing that's gone and got a life of its own at this point. When I started this in November 2018, I funded it all myself because not a single person understood what I was talking about. But you know, now we find ourselves in a place where even companies like EA are coming to these conclusions on their own. And I think it's naturally because economic incentive is what is driving all of this, right? There's a lot of hype cycles, and I've learned to realize those are necessary. But if it wasn't for this economic incentive where people can actually profit from this, you know, it wouldn't be as popular as it is. So I think NFTs has broken that out of crypto and brought it into culture and brought it into music and fashion and gaming. And now these companies are already seeing this as a bottom line decision.
All right.
Now whether they execute on that is another question, right? Not all of them will as quickly. I've spent like 2 years talking to everybody, Epic, Ubisoft, you know, Unity, NVIDIA. These are the companies that are going to drive this innovation, and that's the ones that we're engaging with.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Ryan. So you said culture, and I was going to tee up the Ministry of Culture, Mr. Wendell, for the next question, and then we'll come around to Martin and finish up with him.
How you doing, Ryan? Nice to meet you, brother.
How you doing?
So as a collector, like I really am interested to see how collectors, because NFTs are part collectible. So what do you see like outside of this traditional art gallery or NFT gallery that are popping up? Do you see some type of next level or holding space for the collector of the NFTs, like outside of the gaming aspect, but the actual person that's in the gamified space, but is there strictly to collect?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's use cases for collectors. the way that our product works is it's a core identity. So you're verifying your human identity and then managing your digital and your physical identities. Digital identities as avatars is what gaming is made of, right? And skins in gaming are basically at the front end of the file type exactly what NFTs are. So you have a company like Epic, which is making like 9 billion in 2 years selling skins. They're creating the supply of that of those items, and no one that buys them actually owns them. So people are now beginning to learn there's options where I can actually play a game that rewards me for playing that game by giving me skins that I actually own that have a secondary market value to them. So I think the nature of gamers, at least in the sort of open world sense of collecting skins, are collectors, and they have been for a very long time. If you go back to like even the beginning of crypto, it was really inspired by gaming and how the sort of digital gold or digital economics within those systems could break out into the real world. I just feel like now it's a full circle moment to bring it back into the games because we're spending more time in these environments.
Awesome. Good question. Good answer. Martin, we'll finish up with you and then we'll call showcase number 1 wrapped.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Ryan. I'm actually going to be in Amsterdam on October 13th. Heading back.
Hit me up.
From,
you'll be here for ADE.
Yeah. Well, so maybe we can link up. But I've been thinking about this whole identity thing too. Right now, how it is, you have your passport, you have your driver's license, things like that. How do you become the go-to kind of de facto identity source for these things where people are kind of, it's become ubiquitous that Crucible is what you want underlying kind of your scarce identity, and someone not just kind of casually spinning up another product and saying with, all these different partnerships, hey, we've got the roots laid down so that your identity can be used, such as what Facebook is doing with all their login. And so how do you kind of differentiate that so that you become like the de facto kind of identity provider?
Yeah, so the benefit we have is we're riding atop a movement for digital identity that has 10 years of development in it. It's never made it to gaming, but it's across sort of almost every other industry, government, enterprise. And it's really a new form of credential that's minted on a blockchain. And so that new form of credential has moved forward from emails, and it gives you a more secure way of proving your identity. So that standard is called self-sovereign identity. You can look it up. It's sort of really globally adopted across the board. It's the gold standard for how digital ID will be done. To my shock and awe, every time that I say this, it's not been brought to gaming. I'm doing the engineering work for the compatibility of the sort of libraries of code. So I know that no one's done this yet, which is still fascinating, and it's an inevitable thing in 5 years. It is the most sort of elegant solution for how avatar identity should be secured for the future. And, we just happen to be the one doing it. We have a bit of a head start.
Is it because the ecosystem, Is it because the ecosystem of gaming is just more familiar with the value that something like this has, the metaverse, versus someone else trying to tie this into other forms of identity verification that maybe doesn't pertain to gaming?
Well, it's a deeper topic, but, credentials have either been given by, a dynasty, a government, or online as your email. It's not until recently since people have been logging into things with wallets like MetaMask. So it's really been very sort of focused to those things. And now we have the opportunity for people to mint their own credentials, not have to ask a business or a government in order for the permission to do that, which is really a lot of the excitement for digital currencies as well. It's just more focused on identity. So our SDK is a way of getting more adoption for this specific standard, in which anybody that is on that standard is then interoperable with each other.
Thank you.
Awesome. And we didn't get to hear the rooster yet, which means that we are on time, but the rooster will crow when we go overtime. So Ryan, I can't thank you enough, man. You know how much we look forward to doing some cool stuff with you guys. I appreciate you staying in the fight. I know you've had a lot of things going on, and you're just a phenomenal entrepreneur. And I encourage everybody on here listening, watching, judging, whatever, to try and figure out what this gentleman and his company is up to, and how you can be part of that movement, because we certainly intend to be. And I thank you for being here, man. Get some rest tonight, and we'll talk again soon. So let's move on to our second showcase.
Thank you, Chris.
And yeah, thank you, buddy. Thank you. Take care. So our second showcase, Bullet.network. And this is a company that literally not only is one of the most flexible and responsive, but is actually really exciting. Literally in the 11th hour, we had another well-deserving finalist that was going to be in this year's competition that had to back out for reasons that were out of their control. And Bullet Network and the gentleman you're going to meet were waiting in the wings and allowed us to move this show forward without any glitches. And the show must go on, as you say. But I think serendipity is at play, because we're going to shift gears here. We're still looking at NFTs and use cases, but we're going to go in a whole different enterprise direction. So without further ado, we will start the 10-minute clock with Mike and with Barry from Bullet.network. So welcome, guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Awesome. And Mike, I think we'll make sure you're not on mute, Michael, just so we get a clean interview piece here. All right, there he is. Welcome. All right, so similarly, you've been self-funding this, for a while. You've been at this for a while, but in a high level, you are looking at future payments on a blockchain. But I want you to kind of lay out for us in a first question: what is Bullet Network and why does it matter?
Well, where is the future payments blockchain? If you look at Block Explorer right now, to me, all I see is historic transactions and current balances. Where are the future balances? And if we're talking particularly today, Evergrande, where are all the documents for all of their loans? Probably stuffed in some guy's drawer, right? So I want to get future claims onto the blockchain. What does Bullet do? Bullet is a protocol to do exactly that. It's a blockchain that creates future claims. We're going to do it in NFT format, so that if your wallet is listing for NFTs, you will see your claims come up on your wallet, or you can use our first app. It's called Bullet Banker, and we got a nice video on that later.
Awesome. So in a nutshell, we're talking about receivables, payables, ERP systems, things like that are now going to move towards an open source code versus a walled garden code. Talk to us a little bit about that. Whose lunch are you guys going to ultimately eat, because enterprises find a more efficient way to either factor or have eyesight on their likely incoming revenues?
Well, I think, Chris, it's going to be a giant battle. It's going to be a huge disintermediation. I don't know where everybody's going to land. We hope to be collaborative with most people. I always think of, if you've got a giant legacy system and you want to get into the future, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens in, drips and drams, right? But what's changed to me fundamentally is the smart contract, and I'm sure everybody knows this, a smart contract that then does triple entry accounting. And that's going to change accounting as we know it. Why? Because you can do it on chain. Yeah, it's maybe not as private as you want. So there's going to be, some other apps that do privacy or add privacy to it. But the fundamental thing is I can have a receivable. I can pay it instead of it going to my cash on my own books in my siloed company. It goes via the token to the other person's wallet. That person's wallet has a payable. It doesn't, arrive payable and into cash on their own set of books. Instead, it's just triple entry accounting on the blockchain. This will revolutionize accounting. And on top of that, we have with our protocol, not just that's what I call an accounting journal token. That would be a triple entry accounting NFT. But on top of that, we have with our protocol ways to group things. So we call it Bulla. Bulla is an old word for stamping or signature. And when I think of the blockchain, that's all we're doing is we're stamping our signature on a lot of stuff, right? So what I'm doing is I can create a Bulla or a grouping of credits, stamp them all with my signature and share them with other people. And I can have memberships, I can do project finance, all that stuff.
And I mean, when we talk about disintermediation, some of the things that are popping in my head are things that relate to a credit card and FICO scores being eradicated, because now, again, to your point, if there's a public blockchain or something like that, social finance can take off. People's payment history can be both seen or not based on whether they paid or not, and it removes kind of the need and also some of the inefficiencies or inequities of a FICO-based system or other things. Where else are like the low-hanging fruits? And then talk to us a little bit about where you're currently deployed, because you're in production on several chains right now, and talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, I think low-lying fruit is I do some coding with some people in India. Whenever they send me an invoice for, let's say, $3,000, by the time they get it, it's 2,800, and it's 2 months later. If you use our system using XDAI, it's seconds. The only issue with India is then, because they're financed by the government, there are other hoops and arrows that they have to go through. So it's not, I wish it were so easy and so permissionless. It is, our system is completely permissionless. It's chain agnostic, like we're on XDAI, ETH, what's this, Celo, and RSK. And then back to the NFT part, because we will be claims agnostic, and you'll see it on the video, you can pull down whatever chain you're on, as long as there is a stable token deployed, you can pull it down, pay in wrapped ETH or RBTC or USDC, anything that you want. So it's really exciting. And I think the other low-lying fruit are companies kind of like yours. We were talking a little bit. There's another company, RSK, Innovation Labs. They have the problem. They have all these global solopreneurs that are, right? How many coders do you have that come into an office? They're all working for a DAO. DAOs are also kind of low-lying fruit. We've got to get our implementation working with multisig. We haven't done that quite yet. I'm looking at multisig now.
Interesting. And so really what we're talking about here is adding efficiencies to the payment and remittance and receipt of international funds, invoices, things like that, as well as on a broader, so whether it's to solopreneurs and 1099s or something else. Barry, talk to us about how from your vantage point, and then we'll go to the video and then we'll let the judges ask, but how you guys came together and your perspective on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mike he hasn't talked about it, but he has had an extensive background on Wall Street, and is just very knowledgeable about the global financial system. And as a developer who loved Ethereum, loved DeFi and everything that was happening, he came to me and a couple other people on our team and saw this huge opportunity, but wasn't really sure, hey, how much of this has been done so far? What exists? How do we fit in here? And we saw that there really was no DeFi protocol for on-chain invoicing the way there is a Uniswap, et cetera. So we saw the opportunity and thought it'd be great to join forces and make this happen.
And, when we talk about invoicing, quantify that market size a little bit, because, when we were talking the other day and kind of just getting our heads around this a little bit, you hear a lot about DeFi and CeFi, centralized finance and decentralized finance. And when we look at the global market of whatever, $200 trillion a year, global economy today, whatever it grows into or doesn't, how much of that moves to DeFi? And then as it moves, where invoicing fits in that? Because you guys had some numbers on that I thought were really contextually relevant.
Well, it's interesting. I think by 2025, I've read about $2 trillion in payments. That's just direct payments. That's using the abacus and moving, directly paying people. An invoice is an abstraction. A remittance is an abstraction. All these liabilities, claims, they're all abstractions. If you look at the, derivatives market, it's pretty easy to look at the $640 trillion in derivatives. I understand that most of that's notional, but we can agree that it's a magnitude larger than payments. So I'm going to guess invoicing, I have to guess, I don't know the amount, but it's probably 10 times the payments, 2 trillion. So I'm going to go with, 20 trillion in invoicing.
Yeah, so when you're chain agnostic, but you're enabling that, you're going to be part of the reason why, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going to be part of the reason why whatever migrates from CeFi to DeFi in that total number is going to be enabled by the ability of companies or enterprises or governments even to deploy a version of this open source code into their use case and enable that to be more frictionless. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. We had an interesting discussion, still continuing with the Danish PhD guy talking about VAT implementation. So in our little NFT token, we can add things like VAT compliance or other reporting requirements, things like that. That's what makes it so powerful. You have the smart contract ability, you have triple entry accounting all in one, all there, all open source. So it's anything goes, really.
Yeah, and I mean, having just gone through the compliance of registering VAT and Avalara and 31 use cases, I got to believe there's some efficiencies there that I'd be happy to pay for. All right, let's roll the video, guys. We got 14 seconds left, so let's roll the video, and then we'll go to judges' questions in that segment.
Hey, this is Colin from Bullet Network. I'm going to take a second and show you Bullet Banker. Now, Bullet Banker might be the product for you if you are either a DAO looking to manage your finances on chain, or maybe you're just a freelancer, a contractor looking for a little bit more organization. So we'll start here and open up Bullet Banker. Bullet Banker is a great way to manage any kinds of claims, so either remittances, payments, or invoices that I might want to send to any of my clients. So let's go ahead and create an invoice here. I'm going to send an invoice here to one of my MetaMask wallets and pretend that I am invoicing a client or a person of interest. So I can select which ERC20 token I want to get paid in. I'd love to get paid in wrapped ETH, say 0.10. And I'm going to call this Dubai trip. I can set the due date here, it's whenever I'd like. I can also choose to upload a file. This will pin any kind of file to IPFS and attach the IPFS hash to the claim. Looks like we have a invoice PDF here. Chris Snook, attached is the invoice for a Dubai trip. Perfect, yep, this will do. I'll go ahead and attach this via IPFS. I can also add an account tag. An account tag is just a plain text tag to aggregate any of your finances. So I'll call this Bullet Network here, so I can see any of my finances underneath here. And then I'll go ahead and send this invoice. Now once the invoice has been sent, as you can see here, I have the account tag Bullet Network. This will represent the aggregate view for any kind of payments, either coming in or going out of my wallet. And here's my invoice in here, and I'm currently awaiting payment. So I'll go ahead and switch to my other wallet and show you what it would look like on the receiver's end. So it looks like I have some total net balance here, and I have a pending payable. Here's that invoice for the Dubai trip. Here I can view the details and any kind of changes that have been made historically on this claim. I'm going to decide to go ahead and pay this claim here because this all looks good to me. I'll allow this contract to spend my wrapped ETH, and then I'll confirm the transaction to send my wrapped ETH. As you can see, this invoice has been paid. And if I go back to my first wallet, I can see the 0.1 ETH has been deposited directly into my wallet. No need to withdraw. And here's my invoice now showing up as a received payment. We hope that the Bullet Network can be a viable tool in your DeFi tool belt, and please look forward to new releases coming later this year. Thanks so much.
Awesome, great demo, and I can't think of anybody on the judging panel that might want to attack this one better than Corey Billington, having spent a lot of time in the highest levels of supply chain management and dealing with a lot of invoices over his life. So Corey, what questions or comments do you have for Bulla as a way to kick us off?
Well, questions and comments. Michael, Barry, great, fantastic. Man, there's a lot of problems that you're fixing with this. I want to look to the future because the supply chain control involves the control of information, money, and physical goods. So if your solution could collateralize physical goods, so that the HP borrowing rate applies even when plastic molecules are with some Thai subcontractor that has a 20% borrowing rate. Our modeling suggests that we could effectively increase our profitability by 50-60%. So if that's a possibility in your future with your technology, I'd love to hear it, how you could attack the supply chain control problem.
I would love to do a strategic partnership. I think we just started with the IPFS hash with an invoice, but it could go to a lot more detail. The link that is on the invoice or that's in the NFT could have more detail about the particular product or where it is in the chain. We can open up the moment you have these NFTs, we can factor them. We have a little dashboard right now. If you say on your invoice, I want to factor, then it will come up. It's like, there's an event listener listening to factorable invoices. So you could punt and factor somebody's invoice that you don't know. Of course, we could add more, that sovereign ID earlier, I thought was very interesting. We could add more, know your person, know the credit. But yes, this is the direction things are going, would be going with this kind of a protocol.
Excellent. Outstanding, because the coordination issues between our globally distributed supply chains create enormous waste and cost, and you're tracking those transactions. So if you tie it to tracking molecules as well, it solves a huge problem. Anyway, I'll let you move on, Chris.
All right, awesome, great. Good tee up. And Scott, I can see your gears turning. You want to ask a question?
Absolutely. Michael, very much appreciate the time. Clearly, you've got some sophistication behind what you're doing. And so I mentioned my question in that context. But talk to me about early target customers and your thoughts about whether you're going to go direct to them or look for a channel partner.
I'm looking for a channel partner. I think direct is problematic because it's more of a business app than the plebes, so to speak. I spoke with Cello. I tried to get into Cello, their camp. They're all about DeFi for the people. They didn't seem to appreciate that the average Cello user could invoice somebody just permissionless out of the blue. So I think that tells me that I'm looking for channel partners, that I'm looking to integrate more with business and those kinds of users first. And then I'm hoping to move down into the unbanked and, that's that whole part of the world. I think it's desperately needed in places that don't have, or are not easily connected with Venmo, PayPal, and traditional banks.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, you may, of course.
Okay. I'm curious about your thoughts about reaching out to established non-blockchain players that have enormous access to invoicing systems already.
I am very open to that. Like I said, I've worked at huge companies before, and it was always astounding to me how long the legacy system continued to last, even though there were much better solutions, obviously available. I think it's going to be a slow movement, but people will recognize that this is really where you need to get to, especially if we're going to, get the hyper Bitcoinization one fine day that happens. Interestingly, too, Scott, I gave a speech to the SNB Technology Forum a month ago and talked to all of those, to the BIS people and the Swiss bank people. They were a bit stunned, though, I have to say. Wasn't as many questions as here.
I'd be happy to have a follow-up conversation and pursue the line of inquiry that I have. I think it might be beneficial to both of them.
Great.
Awesome. Martin, we're going to go to you and then go to halftime, but why don't you, if you have a question, why don't we ask it or a comment, and then we'll go into halftime and get ready for the finals.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael and Barry. Curious, what's the capital raise look like? Has it been bootstrapped by you guys since inception? Would love to hear a little bit more.
Right now, we are a Delaware Corp. I financed it in the beginning, and we've done one friends and family round for about $500,000 or $600,000.
And any raises in the future coming up?
Well, I would like to. I can continue to finance, but I'm looking for a strategic partner. I also don't like to finance myself because then, of course, everybody says, yeah, Mike, that's a great idea. So I want to get a strategic partner who might bring some money, but also give me a hard time about some of the dumb ideas that I might have. If that makes sense.
Yeah. One of the things, guys, too, is that there's some potential discovery around whether a SAFT or a SAFE or what's the right structure for this next effort too. So for those who want to do a follow-up with Mike and Barry and maybe what that could look like, I think you're open to that too, right?
Yeah, I mean, do you want a DAO or do you want part of Arca Token, which is the Delaware Corp?
Yep. All right. I had to let the rooster crow, so we went long on purpose. All right, that's halftime. First of all, thank you, Bulla, for all the obvious reasons. Hell of a job. Super excited that Serendipity worked in our favor because I think this is something that's really timely, and I know we have our own planned follow-up. So thank you for being here, gentlemen, and really appreciate everything for you making this show awesome this year in our second showcase. We're going to take a quick 5-minute clock, and Martin, this is our second year with you as the lead sponsor. We could not produce this show without you and in the way that we'd like, and so we're obviously grateful for that. But Blue Ocean Digital Management, you, where the fund is, what you're kind of looking at, give us and every one of the competitors or showcase people and everyone watching, just give us kind of what is Blue Ocean and what's your appetite? What are you looking for?
Yeah, so at a core high level, primarily family office structure, which gives a pretty fairly wide range of investment opportunities. When I first started doing this, it was a buy and hold strategy, taking a look, doing diligence, taking a venture perspective as to what protocols could derive pretty strong returns in terms of just holding their coin or their token. And so really got into it with Bitcoin pretty early, as well as Ether on the Ethereum network. And as the thought process evolved, what other tokens or coins would be valuable, that's where kind of a small venture opportunity popped up, and that's where reached out to Chris and his folks on just what was going on, what was exciting, and that's kind of where we landed with Wyoming. And really the early stage investing portion of this is to get to know a lot of founders and developers who are building on these different blockchains. I myself am not a developer, and so using them to kind of hear their ideas and hear where is worth building then gives us a pretty good idea of where we can see a lot of potential on different protocols. And again, pretty flexible mandate, other high overview, also invest early stage in terms of other crypto hedge funds. So I've done a few crypto hedge funds, primarily in the fund 1, fund 2 stage, getting to know them, thinking through their mindset, their approach on the space, treat them just kind of like as if it was an early stage company, but maybe with a little bit more liquidity, not having lockup periods seem that long. And so, taking that kind of venture mindset, why not invest in early stage hedge funds that are, pretty much printing money over the past few years with crypto trading. And kind of the third approach that I've been working on in the background, kind of in a stealth, is with a bunch of developers to also build out a proprietary trading platform as well within this. And so really the goal at the end of the day, I think a lot of people think the same, is how can we accumulate more Bitcoin by any means? And, we know that it's programmably not naturally going to go down in price. And so really I see 3 ways: is you can accumulate it through mining, high CapEx, a lot of overhead. You could just accumulate it through buying, which means you got to find a business that cash flows pretty strong. And then the third is trading, where yes, there's an assumed risk, involved with principal, but it's pretty lightweight for the most part. And so right now, kind of what I've been working on with a few engineers is, which I'm pretty excited for the next year or two, is kind of sentiment trading. I think what we've seen from all the meme stocks, there's a lot of power behind a lot of sentiment trading. And so understanding through all the different media outlets, what are people thinking, the power of retail, trying to catch things early, riding certain waves. And so that's something that I'm pretty focused on over the next year or two, and building out with some pretty promising people that I've found through just personal network, school, and through the ecosystem, also through investing in early stage startups. And so that's kind of it.
So in the final comment, because we've got some early stage and venture kind of plays here. Your typical thing is you can lead, you can price, you can syndicate. You've got kind of an average check stroke that's, I think, modified since last year. So someone that wants to, is it you reach out to them? Is there you can approach us and here's how? Just talk through some of the mechanics for those who may want to have a conversation, or that you may want to have a conversation with. How does that normally go? What's efficient? What's your approach?
Yeah. So generally it's been pretty targeted, where I haven't received too much outbound. And I like to kind of just get a wide array of the land, and based off of what my top priorities are, reaching out and seeing where I think, we can be useful. I also don't want to go and spray checks into ideas that I can't be helpful in by any means. And so where I see there's a strategic partnership involved, where the capital goes the furthest for both parties involved, that's where it is. And right now the average check size is about 100K.
100K. All right. So 100K is the average check stroke. Sorry, the rooster crowed on me, and we got to move on. But Blue Ocean, and one thing I will say, Martin, is just, because I know you well. I mean, you are someone who gets involved. You want to help. You want to evangelize the space. You want to advance the entrepreneurs that you work with, or those syndicate partners that you line up with. So I think you're an asset to us, and obviously an asset to Sandcastle and the community here. On the foundation side that's enabling these kind of things. But I want to thank you again, sir. I look forward to seeing you this weekend in person. And now we are in the finals, the final two. So for the judges, now we got to go back to normal format. We are now fully in the competition. We are featuring this is like the battle for Los Angeles. Like if this was going to be a movie, it's the battle for Los Angeles as like a showdown in Wyoming. So like imagine people from LA with cowboy hats on and boots, walking through Laramie and pulling out a 6-shooter. So, all right, all that being said, judges, you have scoring sheets. You'll have one for DNA Block. You will have one for Lionshare Media. You do not need to turn those in. Those are for you. Whether they're on the screen or whether they're paper is up to you. But each one of those maps to one of the 10 themes that have to be answered in this 5-minute pitch video. So the format, for those who haven't seen Sandcastle in the past, is the first round is the pitch round. It's kind of like Shark Tank meets some pitch competition with a format. And so each entrepreneur in 5 minutes or less had to record a video. It will be hard stopped at 5 minutes if it's longer than that. And they have to get through all 10 of those things, which include a formulaic one where everything is in the same order. That way they can customize and tell their story, but they can do it in a way where the judges make sure that they're looking at apples to apples. So they can do a 1 or a 2, which is the lower score, right? Meh, or somewhat interesting. There is no 3, so you can't pick middle of the road. And then 4 and 5 are like, I like it, or I don't like it, I love it. And so you'll do that. The total there is 50 points. Then you'll have a judge's choice, which will award 5 points. Now, normally there would be an elimination after that first round. In this case, because this is the final, we're doing this so that we have, for a potential need for a swing vote at the end, a score for each of you that will not be disclosed till the end unless needed. Because if there's a clear winner, we don't need to do it. But the scores will tally up. And at the end, if there's a swing vote, the swing will be basically the total of the round 1 score. Everybody understand? All right, so judges, what I need you to do is write down your score, make any notes on this. We're gonna do a coin flip as usual. So in this corner, coming to us from LA, Susan Brazier from Lionshare Media. In this corner, coming to us from also LA, Anthony Kalani from DNA Block. Who I'm going to go ladies first, Anthony. She's going to call it. If she wins it, she chooses to defer or kick or receive. So ready, Susan? Heads or tails? Oh, let's get you off mute. Because I can't hear the heads or tails. Oh, there we go.
Heads.
All right, so we're going to go heads. All right, here's the flip. It is heads. All right, you want to kick or you want to receive? You want to go first or you want to go second?
Second.
All right. So we'll give the AV team a chance. We are going to run the 5-minute pitch video. The rooster will crow at 5 minutes if it goes long, and it'll get cut off. But here is DNA Block's 5-minute pitch video. Judges, you have your DNA Block scoring. On your go, AV team, and then we will come into a 5-minute Q&A with Anthony on that with the judges. So we are ready on the call.
Hi, my name is Anthony Kalani, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of DNA Block. And we're building a platform that enables any creator to build, perform, and publish to the metaverse. By now, I'm sure all of you have at least heard of the metaverse, and unlike the walled gardens of Instagram and YouTube, where only the top 1% earn real money, the metaverse is truly a level playing field for the creator economy. And this is where the global community of over 50 million creators will be building their virtual empires. Creators are always looking for innovative ways of earning and interacting in a digital space, and the metaverse models the real world by mirroring pre-existing economic structures and building upon them. The global metaverse market is expected to reach $280 billion by 2025. However, a creator economy without utility is useless. Creators need tools to help them bring their stories to life, and they expect these tools to be easy to use so they can generate content quickly. Unfortunately, we have not fully realized this dream yet. Did you know that today it takes months or sometimes even years for an entire team of specialized developers and artists to create high-quality 3D characters and content? Creativity should not require a PhD. What if creating Hollywood-level 3D animation was as easy as playing a video game? Well, we're making this dream come true, and we set off on a mission to democratize the world of 3D animation. We've developed a creator tool called Replicant to make this process easier, faster, and more scalable. And we're using the same high-quality graphics technology that Hollywood uses. Our click and drag UI and photo to avatar feature makes it easy to generate a digital double of anyone and morph it into any style you like. We provide an expansive library of digital assets to dress your character and design sets for your avatars to perform in. Any of the avatars in your environment can be animated using various motion capture solutions or using our library of pre-recorded motion capture, and editing your scenes is similar to working with popular video editing tools. Any project created in Replicant can be published as video content, a live stream event, or a multiplayer immersive experience. Everything created in Replicant can also be minted as an NFT to be monetized on a blockchain. We're currently a team of 10 veteran developers with decades of experience in 3D animation, gaming, AI, and blockchain. My background is in computer science, AI, and cloud architecture, and my co-founder Luke's background is in computer science, CGI, and he has won many awards as a creative director and filmmaker. We're backed by a group of amazing investors and advisors like SoftBank and Kevin Lin, the co-founder of Twitch. The basic platform is free for creators to use, and artists and developers can create 3D assets to sell to Replicant creators through our marketplace. DNA Block takes a share of profit from all NFTs minted from our platform and all digital asset sales through our marketplace and virtual world. Our platform has been battle tested by some of the most demanding creative teams in the world, and this year we've been focused deeply on product development and improving our user experience based on feedback from the creative teams we've worked with. Currently, we're focused on producing showcase content to demonstrate the power of Replicant and grow our creator community. Beginning next year, we'll be launching Replicant out of private beta, launching our marketplace, and opening up land sales in our virtual world where creators can publish and monetize their own multiplayer events. Completing these steps are important to building a strong network effect for the DNA Block ecosystem. As a creator tool, one of the unfortunate consequences as you grow is an inappropriate content and cyberbullying. Creating characters of people without their permission is another issue. So it's very important for us to continuously develop curation tools that are both automated with AI and manual so that the community can easily report misuse and offending accounts can be disabled immediately. Our closest competitors are Core and Roblox. Core's main focus is video game development, and Roblox demographic is over 70% children. We don't believe one style fits all, so we built the most flexible and advanced but easy to use platform that enables creators to build avatars and content in any style from photoreal to anime style. And our target demographic are young adults graduating from Roblox. So think of Roblox as Nickelodeon and DNA Block as Adult Swim. We are happy to have awesome strategic investors that give us an advantage in the space. Transparent Arts is a talent management company that works with the top entertainment talent and brands in the US and Asia. XRM Media is a new media production company servicing Gen Z and millennial consumers. And the co-founder of Twitch, Kevin Lin, personally invested in DNA Block. So we have direct access to the entire ecosystem and community of over 8 million creators. One of our creators is a UK-based fashion designer, and we produced one of the first virtual fashion shows for London Fashion Week last year. The content we created on has been recently nominated for Best 3D Animation at the London Fashion Film Festival. We're looking to expand our team and advisory board with experts in community building and growth as we come out of the stealth mode and open our platform to the world. So please contact me at
That's the cutoff. Cut him off. Cut him off. Cut him off. Rooster said cut him off. He was on his final slide anyway, but that was an awesome job. Oh, now I can't shut the rooster up. Oh. Man, she's mad at you, Anthony. All right. That's what happens when your phone gets hacked. All right. There we go. She finally quieted down, or he. I'm saying she. I don't know who it is. That bird is mad. All right. Judges. Ron, let's go to you. This is up your alley. Fashion, metaverse. Let's see what questions you have.
Yeah, definitely. Nice to see you again, Anthony. I just want to, I got a couple of questions. As you move to implement and educate the fashion world on how to use avatars and skins of that nature to help them bring more light and enlightening the general public about this space, what do you feel is going to be the biggest challenge in doing that?
So yeah, fashion is great. I mean, it's been the low-hanging fruit for our business. There have been a lot of brands coming to us. You know, there are quite a few brands already that are just digital first, like Artifact and a few other companies. So a lot of brands, you know, see the need to enter the metaverse because, you know, they're seeing these digital first brands come to fruition. I would say, you know, the biggest challenge really has been, you know, we've been pitching this metaverse thing for a few years now, and last year no one knew what the metaverse was. This year, now everyone knows NFTs in the metaverse, right? And like I said, there's a bunch of digital brands that's popped up. And so a lot of those challenges have been resolved because of the discussion around the metaverse and Facebook, you know, Mark Zuckerberg talking about the metaverse and a lot of just digital creation in the fashion industry. And, you know, it's been great. We're working with the designers that we work with.
Good. I see that you're saying that I have a couple of young nieces that love Roblox and they use it and play it all the time. And I see that you're saying that you're targeting a bit of a little older kids. So when you deal with that, how are you going to put some rails or some protocols to also protect those kids? So I just want to know what your thoughts and insight is on that.
Right. So yeah. So we see ourselves as kind of the creator community for the graduates of Roblox. We don't talk. Roblox is over 7 million developers, and a lot of them are kids. There's 70% of them are teens and below. You know, for us, we're a bit more adult focused. The content, you know, can be, you know, we don't have to do COPA compliance or anything like that because we're targeting, you know, kids and adults of age, right? So, you know, there's a lot of content, animated content, like, you know, Netflix and things like that. And a lot of adults are interested in that type of content. And yeah, I don't see us having any issues around compliance there because we are targeting adults. For instance, you know, we talked to Red Bull the other day, right? And so Red Bull can't actually do anything officially on Roblox because the demographic of Roblox are children and they can't market.
Oh, you got you on mute, Anthony.
So they came to us looking to do some metaverse engagements, and they saw that we're working on a virtual world, and you know, that's going to be the future. It's going to be a more adult focused metaverse. So, yeah.
One more quick question from maybe Wendell. Let's go, Wendell, if you got a quick one, and then.
Yeah, I got a quick one. On one of the slides, when you were seeing the revenue, it looks like that you guys take half of the revenue. So as a filmmaker or as a game creator, with the amount of money that it takes from their side, like how sustainable do you think it's going to be for creators to have to give up half of their money to you outside, because it looks like that other systems will be able to do this at a lower price point. So how do you, what do you say to that?
Well, no, I don't believe other systems will be able to do this at a lower price point. We target AAA quality animation, and we put a lot of investment into the tools that we've created for our creators. If a creator wanted to go and do AAA animation today, they would have to go to an animation studio. They would have to have 6 figures to millions of dollars of capital to put into that project, and also sacrifice, 3 months to a year to develop these kind of characters. And so that's why we take a larger cut off the initial sales of any NFTs.
All right, we got more questions coming up in round 2, but we got to hit pause on DNA Block. Now we're going to go over. So tally up your scores on the pitch video and the 10 areas there. If you haven't had a chance to ask a question yet, you'll get a chance after the demo round 2 when DNA comes back. So Anthony, take a drink of water. We're going to move over to Susan. Judges, tally up your score for Anthony before we move on, so that you have them written down in any notes. If you have some follow-on questions, we'll go to the other judges in round 2. Give me a thumbs up, judges, that you're ready to go into Lion's Share and hear a new pitch. Okay, great. So 5 minutes on the clock. The buzzer will beep if we need it. Otherwise, we'll go right into the Q&A with Lion's Share. So here's Lion's Share.
Hi, my name is Susan Brazier, and I'm the CEO of Lion's Share Media and have been actively involved in blockchain since 2015, and I'm on the board of Global Women in Blockchain. Blockchain technology is transforming every supply chain in the world, and perhaps one of the most critical and complex is that for premium entertainment distribution. It's clear that today's centralized distribution services will not deliver next generation experiences, efficiencies, and economics. The solution to this is thin air. It's a 5G direct-to-consumer, decentralized, blockchain-enabled, cloud-native platform that delivers ultra-high resolution video, millions of concurrent live streams, immersive media, NFTs, tokenized transactions, and frictionless commerce. The Thin Air Metaverse is the new decentralized distribution platform for the spatial web. It opens up a global ecosystem of immersive mobile media apps called projects that enable creators and brands to directly connect with global fan communities on a hyper-local and personal basis. The project is a smart hypercube meta NFT format. It's an experience, not a transaction or trade. We're using blockchain as a through line for identity management, assets, rights, and metadata, as well as for monetization. It has a breakthrough new UX UI design that's been created for and by digital natives. The Lion's Share Media leadership team is deeply experienced in tech, media, and telecom, complemented by an extraordinary team of Gen Z innovators, including my 25-year-old nephew, Grant Brazier, who's my co-pilot. I feel uniquely qualified to lead the company, as I have successfully launched disruptive platforms, products, and services for Apple, DirecTV, Viacom, FIFA World Cup, Virgin Mobile, and Nokia. The business model is as elegantly engineered as the platform. It gives creators a 10x gain in revenues. For artists, this can generate 7 to 22 million revenues per year from memberships, pay-per-view, microtransactions, advertising and sponsorships, NFTs, and commerce. The Thin Air platform is on an accelerated roadmap. It's being built as a decentralized approach with partners that are developing expert systems such as the Versus platform for the spatial web. We plan to launch Thin Air and Project MVPs with the seed round funds and are launching Project MVPs and POCs this quarter that enable fans to share live streams from their smartphones into a live cube. We plan to raise $25 million in an A round for the second half of 2022 to support the launch of the market version of Thin Air Metaverse, patents, and support the RAC token. Probably the most unintended consequence is that the demand for creators to be part of the Thin Air Metaverse outpaces our ability to serve them. And that's a great problem to have. Yes, Lionshare Media has a big vision to democratize and revalue premium entertainment. It's critical to disrupt the FAGMA players on a commercial basis who are using algorithmic controlled scrolls and screens and searches that exploit our data, attention, mental health, and well-being. The Thin Air Metaverse gives social media a facelift by introducing a new form of reality, a collective reality experience that connects creators and consumers in physical, digital, and virtual worlds. Our first brag is the invitation to be part of the Supermicro 5G Innovation Center in Silicon Valley. It's a new sustainable green server storage and cloud facility that will give us an extraordinary market advantage in terms of the quality of service, infrastructure, and costs. Our second big brag is our creator partnerships. Lionshare is already working with top hip hop and emerging pop artists that are also game to be part of the live streaming community to reach global audiences. We're partnering with Hungama, which operates a 90 million subscriber service in India and Southeast Asia. And our goal is to live stream to 101 billion users concurrently. We ask that when we launch that this community becomes part of the Thin Air Metaverse and ponies up to buy the RAC token. Thanks so much.
All right, incredible that all that came out in 4 minutes and 41 seconds. And now we get to go to the judges portion. 5 minutes is on the clock. I'm gonna go to Martin first, and then we'll come around the horn, Scott and Corey. So Martin, first question.
Yeah, thank you for that. So you guys have a token live currently for sale?
Not yet. We're planning the token as we speak. We're focusing on it being a utility token for use by the creators to pay for services, as well as consumers to purchase memberships, pay-per-view, microtransactions, and commerce.
Got it. So that at a high level is the tokenomics there?
Yeah. I mean, at a high level, we'll probably be on a blockchain, and my preference is because it's a real use case and platform that we're going to look to use it as a utility token as a primary focus, not a security token.
Got it. And what was the primary revenue generating stream of the platform?
So the platform is a global ecosystem of projects. So every creator, every brand has their own project, and each of those projects have multiple revenue streams. We are adapting the free-to-play business model that I was part of innovating in Scandinavia about 10 years ago and moving it forward. So the economics are such that a lot of it is live streaming as a key revenue driver. So the idea is to sell a pre-sale of a project for an annual membership, and there could be patrons for say $300 or fans that are $60, and they get access to live streams of shows. We're really focusing on the entertainment aspect and creating a global audience for those live streaming. There's also a token, like when people are capturing live streams at live events, they could be incentivized with tokens as well for contributing their live stream into the global feed.
Thank you.
All right, Scott.
Susan, again, very much appreciate what you've brought together. Susan, the most significant part of your prior experience that is going to contribute to the success of this?
It's a great question, because this is the genesis of 30 years of launching disruptive digital technologies. And I think the most profound was when I launched digital TV. I launched DirecTV in 1990. And this really harkens to that era where it really is going to change the economics, efficiencies, and the experience. And I think we're at that precipice now. And what you'll see shortly is that it is a 5G Web 3.0 environment. So to launch any metaverse, you have to understand the distribution architecture and infrastructure. There are over 400 companies launching 5G services. And because I've been in the telecom space and launched those services for Virgin 3G and Nokia 4G, I'm here at Lionshare to launch 5G.
I've just got to get in a follow-up question, Chairman. Talk to me about the importance of partnerships and how early that's going to happen.
It's actually happening, and it's been happening since the inception of this. We are strategic partners with Versys, which is pioneering the new spatial web protocol. I really appreciate what Ryan was saying. Actually, Versys has created a new HSTP protocol that allows for the interoperability in the real, digital, and physical world. And so the spatial web is going to allow new solutions that are not just in a virtual or game environment, but that interact in the real world. And that doesn't mean AR only. It means that you can put video around and target it to specific locations on a hyper-local and personal basis.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Corey.
Yeah, thanks, Susan. Tell me more about your sustainable competitive advantage. I mean, how are you going to beat Disney or Netflix? I mean, they're going to come after you, right?
I think it'd be great. I actually think we'll be partners in the end, because we're really a mobile first immersive mobile media platform. And so Disney could put every channel they want on our metaverse. They have a lot of video. The key here is not looking so far ahead. There's a whole ecosystem of premium entertainment that's no longer reaching audiences on cable and satellite systems. And so they have to move everything to mobile first. And so we're talking to all those premium. I come from all of those premium entertainment companies, and I know that they don't have the in-house technology capital or team to launch this scalable system. Instead, they can hire it as a platform as a service and launch every channel that they have. In fact, the metaverse idea is that the project is the new channel.
Awesome. And once again, we have 9 seconds left. So let's refresh the clock. We're going to go into round 2. Judges, that was round 1. So remember, you have 50 points that you've allocated, up to 50 points you've allocated on the Likert scales. There is no 3, only a 1, 2, 4, or 5. And then you have a judge's choice. Now, your judge's choice is your choice. So did Anthony win round 1 in your mind, or did Susan? That's what you're doing. If you chose Anthony, you would put 5 points on that sheet as the round 1 score, add to Anthony. If you chose Susan, you would put 5 points there. We're going to hold those in the event that after the next 2 binary up-down vote rounds, we have a 4-way tie and we need a swing to total it out. So next round is up. We are going to start with the demo videos. The demo videos can be up to 3 minutes. The clock will roll starting at the beginning of the video. The next time is purely for Q&A. So judges and participants, it's rapid fire. Once that happens, use it wisely, get as much in as possible. And we will go as soon as we are ready with the video for DNA Blocks demo.
Hey everyone, just wanted to give you a quick demo of our avatar creation system here. We have about 3 minutes for this demo, so I want to show you how quickly we can go from a photo to avatar to some other type of character in under 3 minutes. So here, as you can see, here's my fully rigged avatar. We're in a fully 3D environment inside a replicant. This avatar was created of me using an iPhone image, but what I want to do is create a new avatar. I want to create someone else different. So what I'll do is I'll create Mike Shinoda. He's one of our investors, the founder of Lincoln Park. I have got this image from him of him online, and what I'll do is use our photo to avatar system to generate a fully rigged avatar of him, and it'll pop up in place of mine after it gets done processing it. And there we have his avatar. As you can see, he's still wearing my clothes and still has my hair on, so let's fix that. Let's get some hair that's a little bit more appropriate. Maybe that hair looks good, or let's make it like green or something. Also, this is a fully rigged avatar, so this avatar can actually be animated. So I'll show you a few different preset animations that we have. So I can do like a fighting move or something where he falls down. But if I had an actual motion capture suit on, I could actually move him in real time. But what I'll do here, just to show you, I'll turn my facial tracking on. And what I can do here is actually I'm actually facing my iPhone 10 and it's actually tracking my face and head movements and it's translating those to his avatar, and you see I can control him in real time. Also, we can actually alter this avatar. So let's say we want to make him look like a goblin or something like that. So Mike Shinoda has turned into a goblin, and say we want to do like a mix between him and a cat or something. So I can actually make him like a cat, or kind of mix between a goblin or all three. So that's how easy you can do that. I can also even morph his body. So let's make him look like a little cartoon character or something like that. Let's make his upper body big. Let's increase the size of his feet and his hands, and let's make his head super big or something. Let's change his eye color as well. So let's make it like green or some type of weird glowy color. We have a full system in here for clothing. So let's let's move this jacket and put him into like a different jacket here. And each of these clothes selections is fully skinnable, so I can actually change the skin of these jacket. These are some designs done by a fashion designer we're working with. It's a fully expandable system. So yeah, there's also, really cool shoes as well. So let's change his shoes. These are some animated shoes here, but.
All right, 3 minutes. Stop the video. Questions. Great demo. All right, who wants to go first? Judges, you're rapid fire now, so. There's Wendell.
I got a question. So, how in the future, how do the Call of Duties and the Apexes and even the NBA Lives and Maddens of the world, is this something that could be integrated into those type of systems, or are you going to keep it strictly metaverse based?
It's up to those developers whether they want to open up their ecosystem. I doubt EA is going to open up, NBA 2K, but if they do, then it'd be great if the way to do that is obviously open it up to the blockchain and accept NFTs. We're not relying on that. We're actually relying on the next generation of immersive experiences. So you have these virtual worlds popping up like Decentraland, and there are some AAA projects that are actually coming up as well. So we're more so counting on integrating with AAA quality video games and virtual experiences. And we also have our own virtual world coming out, which you'll be able to actually design virtual and immersive experiences inside of our creator tool and actually deliver those through our virtual world, so they become multiplayer and discoverable by the virtual world community.
Awesome. Martin, you got one?
Yeah, no, this is a super cool product. So after you're done configuring your avatar, does it then get minted? How does it work?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways to publish content. You can actually use that avatar and use it real time in a live stream. So if say you're a Twitch streamer, you can actually control that avatar and stream it direct live to your fans. You can take that avatar and put it into a virtual environment that you can design inside of our platform and actually create a cinematic. So actual short film or video or a piece of short form content for social media, render that out to a video and deliver that to YouTube or Instagram. As far as every asset inside of our system can be minted as an NFT. So the characters can be minted. Each of the clothing and assets can be minted as NFTs, and the entire project can actually be minted as NFTs. And the way we're able to do this is the way we save the actual data. So we save the data in a lightweight way, which is metadata, and then the heavy assets get stored to a file storage system like IPFS. So these projects and assets can be minted as NFTs on the blockchain, and the heavy assets can be stored in another decentralized storage.
Are you guys going to have a marketplace of any sort?
Yeah, so the marketplace will have a few different stakeholders. There's currently 3 artists that contribute to kind of these like variety of marketplaces currently out there, super like siloed. we're going to have a marketplace that allows our replicant creators to use 3D assets created by the community. Also, that marketplace will also contain projects and assets created directly in Replicant as well. So say you're a creator and you wanted to create like a music video, but you didn't want to publish it. You wanted to sell it as a kind of a template project that other people can remix. You can sell that project as an NFT, and someone else can actually take that project and remix it and publish it themselves. So that's the type of marketplace that we're creating.
So I've got one more question.
Sure.
Just as a hypothetical. So if, let's just say, a designer like Louis Vuitton comes online, really they're just a high margin business, no matter, I'm assuming it doesn't matter where they're getting it from, physical or like Meta now. If someone makes like limited Louis Vuitton, let's just say, you know, skinned jacket and sells it there, is that something that, am I kind of getting that concept down right with where it could potentially be headed?
Yeah, so what we plan on doing is later down the line, potentially doing some partnerships with fashion designers. We've done one already with a UK-based fashion designer already. And so we'll have kind of official segments of our marketplace for those designers. And those assets could be either free or paid, depending on like, you know, what they want to do. But yeah, essentially anyone can create. I mean, we've made this platform super easy for any creator to skin any type of asset that's inside of our ecosystem and create their own creations from that. So if somebody wanted to create like a, you know, some type of Louis Vuitton item that, you know, they kind of envision, they can do that.
Corey, you were going to say something.
Yeah, could you elaborate on your revenue model? I mean, this is great, but how are you going to make money?
Right. So the basic platform is free. We're going to monetize through transactions through our marketplace. So one, there are 3D artists that, so what I showed you in the demo was basically our current library, but there are 3D artists that can contribute more items to that library. When those artists contribute to that library, our creators and Replicant can buy those assets. When those transactions go through, we take a revenue share of that. 2, our Replicant creators can also create NFTs and which can be avatars and projects that they can sell in our marketplace as well. We take a revenue share of that as well. Thirdly, when we launch our virtual world, these virtual experiences that are published by our Replicant creators can be also monetized. They can be paywalled or free, or they can actually sell items inside of their virtual space. We also take a cut of those transactions as well.
Awesome. Scott, you got one?
No, I'm just taking it all in.
All right, Anthony, final comment, 30 seconds.
Sure. You know, what's exciting for me is that we're powering like the next generation of careers. We're changing the future of work, and there's a digital economy that's going to be part of the metaverse, and we're creating a tool that enables a entirely new community to get into the 3D animation space and populate the metaverse. We have fashion designers. You know, we're talking to comedians, architects, and all types of different creative and service jobs that will be doing work in the metaverse. And we're happy to be helping create a tool to enable that.
Awesome. We are at time. So now we're going to queue up the Lionshare demo video on the spatial web so that we can have a better understanding of that. And then we'll go to questions with Susan from the judges for that.
There's a new world emerging right before our very eyes. A world where we seamlessly and naturally interact with augmented and virtual reality, opening endless possibilities to learn, collaborate, create, and explore. Where spaces and cities become smart, physical and digital goods are tracked, and people's identity, security, and finances are protected, enabling citizens, big data, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things to finally work together for the benefit of humanity and the planet. But have you ever stopped and wondered, how do we actually get from here to there? The last few years have shown enormous advances in augmented and virtual reality devices. Computer vision, location tracking, edge computing, blockchain, and 5G. But these applications and the devices and operating systems they utilize are not connected. They're siloed experiences. There's no common standard for how all these technologies and applications can work together. For that, you need a common protocol, a way to communicate between each of these technologies. And for that, you need Versys. Versys has developed the HSTP, or Hyperspace Transfer Protocol, allowing parties to agree on who, what, and where everything is in physical and virtual worlds. This enables anyone with the right permissions to discover what something is, who owns it, where it's located, and what can be done with it. It is a paradigm shift in the future of computing. Versys is currently developing multiple specifications and pilot projects with commercial and enterprise partners, as well as standards groups and governments. Early tests have already demonstrated incredible time and money savings while providing previously inaccessible spatial analytics and spatial performance data. Join us and our many forward-thinking partners and industry leaders as we drive the next generation of innovation and lay down the digital infrastructure to support a better future and a new web for people, businesses, our environment, and humanity. Let's build the spatial web.
All right, so judges, interesting shift of gears here with the demo talking about integration partners and what Lionshare Media is building around and with and on top of. So questions for Susan, starting, let's go to Scott this time.
Susan, I want to shift to the boring. I want to talk about financial projections.
Okay.
Okay. I'm interested in 3 points in your life cycle, in your growth. First, revenues, 1 million ARR, and cash flow positive. Okay. My question is not about time, though. My question is, how much have you spent by the time you get to each of those thresholds?
Wow.
How much will you have spent by the time you get to first revenues?
It's an interesting question. I'm going to take it on. Firstly, I just want to give a framework that the roadmap is that we've been building this platform for the past few years. And so a lot of it's being architected in a very decentralized way. So there are live streaming and video services that are moving to new XDNs and capabilities and partners that we have for that. The spatial web is a project that's been ongoing with Versys since at least 2017. So Thin Air is actually going to be a very serious integration of all those technologies. So the first threshold for Thin Air as a platform will be that we'll move to an MVP next year, and it'll probably cost us around $6 to $10 million to actually get the first operating MVP that's a solid MVP into the market, which will then be able to serve the projects. The projects are going to launch even before Thin Air. So the answer to your question about first revenue is that we'll be in process of first revenue even in this quarter, probably through some of our partners who will be customers. The second part of it, so Hungama and others will be partners and will be licensing and pre-selling those projects, just like Elon Musk pre-sold Teslas before we actually produce them. So we'll sell them through memberships.
Including to me.
I'm sorry?
Including to me.
Yes, of course. The big actual tipping point for the economics of this is that the revenue to get to 1 million is probably likely to come sooner in the first half of 2022. And that's when we plan to initiate the MVP for the Thin Air metaverse. And that means that we're going to start to staff up and accelerate the amount of projects that we could accommodate in the system. So one of the big cost curves that we just realized that we could overcome is the new Adobe Substance tools that have just been launched into beta. They'll actually reduce the cost of us building those hypercubes at scale, and it'll reduce a lot of the operational costs that we can get to market faster and with lower cost of operation to create them. So that's kind of a big disruption that just actually happened. So I would say that in mid-2022, we'll hit that 1 million mark pretty easily.
Okay. And then finally, that total spend to cash flow positive.
It really, I think that because we're lean and mean and have a decentralized approach, I guess I would say by the end of 2023.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It may be earlier. We'll see.
Good question, good response. Not an easy one to do.
Susan, yeah. Susan, are you an infrastructure company or a media company? I'm confused.
Okay, so we're a distribution company that will leverage we're building out an integrated media platform, media distribution platform that'll accommodate like video streaming and immersive media, all the above, even commerce, into these apps. And so the platform is just a next generation media distribution platform that we call a metaverse, but it's really just kind of opening up an open ecosystem. It's almost like it powers apps that can interoperate and interconnect for revenue, and interoperability will change the dynamics of the economics. So it is like a new media distribution platform for creators, actually, and brands. But it requires a lot of infrastructure to get it right. So we're working with cloud services, we're working with 5G operators, we'll be working, and actually one of the biggest ways we'll get to that end game is to license the platform to different telecom operators in different marketplaces so they could localize and use and launch different projects on in different markets.
So that was like the Internet of Things, and the other B2B type applications are to pay for your infrastructure so you can have your media empire. Is that, do I have that right?
Yeah, we can license the platform to telecom operators, and media creators can license the platform as a SaaS-based model. So they come together really seamlessly.
Okay. Thanks. That's great.
It's a great question, Corey. Actually, we've had that one with Susan a lot, I think. Ron, Wendell, you got one? Okay, Wendell, go ahead.
Yeah, so from the, it's just interesting, bro. Like, you really have kind of put it together. So the timeline for 5G kind of realistically catching up with what your model is like. So real time, me really having 5G on my phone instead of it lying to me, versus what you need to sustain your business model. Like, what do you see realistically that time frame looking like?
It's 2023 to 25. I mean, in different markets, it's moving faster. Certainly different brands of 5G are coming out in, say, China or Africa and other markets. But in the US market, you can count on the fact that by 2025, the platform, actually IBM just wrote a whole report and did a survey of 500 telecom executives, and the tipping point is 2025. So all this immersive media, all this will be enabled by faster throughput through the 5G systems. And to get the coverage on the ground with all the carriers and getting lit with even private 5G networks, it's the next 3 to 5 years.
One more question, 20 seconds, one more comment, Susan.
I mean, I just want to say that I think the creator metaverse, and everybody here really knows, it's really, I could work all day long with tools that DNA has created. And I just want to create the smart container that gives everybody their own media streaming capability so that they can really control their distribution. I see the metaverse as the answer to the multi-platform.
All right, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait on that. You're gonna have to wait on that. Trust me, the guy who never stops talking. My favorite thing in the world to do is make the rooster crow, and
there it is.
Yeah. All right. So, judges, here's what I need from you. Just in the chat, judges, I need a direct message. Some of you have already sent it in, because otherwise we're gonna forget. So you just had a round 2. Now each one of these rounds compiles, but they're separate. Somebody won this round because they did a little better answering the questions or not than the other person, and that's a binary choice. You pick one versus the other. So in round 2, you're just gonna thumbs up lion share or DNA. Okay, DNA block. So round 2, I need you to direct message me that so we don't forget, because we're about to come into the final flurry, which is my favorite thing to do with every year. And before we do that, if you did not send me your compiled score, so in your first round, you had up to 50 points that was available through the 10 slides. And then you had your 5 bonus that could be awarded to one team. Total those up and just say DNA equals XX. lion equals whatever from your round one. That way we can say round one went to this team, round two went to this team. And then if we have a tie break after round three, then we'll figure out a swing vote with Martin as the ultimate swing. So just do that in the chat for me. All right, now, competitors, are you ready? Anthony, off mute, please, sir.
Yes.
Look at that. I feel like one of these news people. I got like two awesome people on both sides, and I just get to sit in the middle. All right, so here's the final flurry, right? It's the rap battle that I always wanted to do that I was never good enough to do, so I'm going to put it on you. We've got 5 minutes on the clock. When the clock starts, I'm going to pick one of you, and I'm going to give you a number, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I'm going to say that number and go. You got to give me a sound bite on why the judges should pick you. As soon as that's over, I'm going to say, stop, go. And I'm going to say 30, Susan, or whatever, and you're going to go. Got it? Now, you don't know how much you're going to get, so you got to be able to, in real time, come up with a 15, a 30, or a 45. If you get the dead space, say something else. If you freeze, it's going to be crickets. So don't freeze. All right? Everybody ready? Okay, let's demonstrate. Just have fun with this. Let's demonstrate how well you know your space, your business. Let's say the things you didn't say yet that you're dying to say. Let's finish with a flurry. Okay, 5 minutes on the clock. Ready? Susan, 30 seconds. Why should you win? Go.
I think that we're building the epicenter for pop culture, for media and music, for digital natives in the 2020s. And it harnesses the power of next generation technologies to deliver new experiences, economics, and efficiencies.
All right, 20 seconds, Anthony, go.
Yeah, so our team, we initially bootstrapped this company, and it was created out of really the love for storytelling and gaming. You know, we took no capital in the beginning. We literally just took our first
15 seconds, go. Susan.
It gives creators greater control over their digital IP, their audience, their data, their rights, their brand experience, their scheduling, their ROI, and their pricing. It's really the digital Swiss Army knife of digital media.
Anthony, 45, go.
So we're democratizing a space, 3D animation, a world that's never been available to regular people. Just like website creation wasn't and video production wasn't, we now have YouTube and Instagram where people can broadcast to the world. Reason we're doing this is because we believe that the next generation of high value IP will be generated by one of the 50 million and growing creators from around the world. So we are creating easy to use tools to enable and empower those creators to make this happen.
Awesome. 30 seconds. Go, Susan.
One of the key things that we are changing is for advertising. We're providing new high value CPM advertising opportunities that are more contextual. So the projects will give creators their own direct consumer app that allows them to feature premium advertising. And our goal is to give them 60% upwards of the revenues from the model. I think the advertising industry recognizes that mobile first is the way to go in AR, and this project will accommodate all of that. And there's $650 billion.
30 seconds, Anthony, go.
What we're doing can really empower economically disadvantaged communities as well. An example of this is the play to earn business model that Brian Gill alluded to before. We want to do create to earn models as well in the future to empower economically disadvantaged communities to earn money through creating, just through creativity. And we're making it easy enough for them to do that from their computer or their phone, or, to be able to pay their bills during disaster or whatever.
1 minute, Susan, go.
Yeah, I share the importance of having fan engagement and contributions. And so it's been long overdue on Facebook and other platforms that contributors do not get paid well or at all for their services. So we also think live streaming is a key experience. So one of the killer functionality that we're building into the app early on is to allow anybody who's in a live audience to stream their live stream in real time to the project and have it featured on that hypercube so that you can swish around and see who's contributing to the live feed or be part of an aggregate fan feed. So it really allows you to create immersive, out of the box experiences that fans engage in and get paid for.
50 seconds, Anthony, go.
So one of our creators, like I said in the demo or the pitch, is Milan Berton. He's a UK-based fashion designer. He was never exposed to the world of 3D animation. We collaborated with him, and he was able to design several looks for one of the first virtual fashion shows ever for London Fashion Film Festival. He submitted the submission to, London Fashion Week, and he submitted the submission to the video to London Fashion Film Festival. And this past weekend, we found out we won the best 3D animation at that film festival. So I had announced in the demo that we were nominated. We actually ended up winning, and that wouldn't be possible for a fashion designer to do that on his own without our tool.
Final 20, Susan, go. It's for 12.5 versus 8,500. Do it.
Yeah, our sweet spot is also for independent creators. I think artists have been suffering, and everybody recognizes that the NFT shows promise to give them greater control over their digital IP and their monetization. But the project is a meta NFT that does far more than that. It gives them an experience. Now, independent artists are the highest growing sector of the music industry. And what we want to do is give them a project workstation to make
Take us home, Anthony. Take us home. Take us home, Anthony.
I think the impact of our marketplace is profound. We are enabling artists to not only get initial sales on their creation, but perpetually get revenue through the secondary NFT sales. We participate in revenue share on initial sale, but they will in perpetuity gain income from their secondary sales on the NFT that are produced from our system, and we're enabling that.
All right, I think that's a hell of a third round. Thank you, guys. The rooster likes it. All right, let's turn him off. Give yourselves a hand, everybody. Give yourselves a hand. Okay, so that is it. That is the finals. Judges, think of your round 3 score. I'm going to look through my chat, and we're going to do the round 3 score verbally. Okay, so the round 1 I'm going to read, the round 2 I'm going to read. So make sure I have your round 1 and your round 2s, and then we're going to do the round 3 score, and you're gonna speak it to the competitors and say one quick final word to them. But I will start with this and just thank everybody for participating, making another phenomenal 4th year now of Sandcastle. Thank you, Martin, for being such an awesome friend, but also partner of this. And for providing us the ability to give away more prize money. And so this year, again, first place is going to walk with 12.5, and then the second place winners walk in with 8,500 for their efforts tonight. And I will say that I've tried to put our own business in that 5-minute thing, and I'm glad I invented that process and never have to do it, because I can't do it. And you both did a tremendous job putting what I call 10 pounds of sausage in a 5-pound bag. So kudos to you and to the teams and companies you represent. All right, enough talking, Chris. Let's look at the scores. Let's see. So we got on the score for round 1, we have 1 going to DNA with a differential of 40 to 28. We have 43.5 Lion to 40 on the second one. We have another close one, 32 to 31 going to DNA. So we got 2 so far out of 3 going to DNA in round 1. Let's see, 51-40 going to Lion Share. So now we got a deadlock on round 1. So who run round 1? By a score of 44 to 36, round 1 goes to DNA. Congratulations. All right, so DNA round 1. Now let's look at round 2. Round 2, sorry, scroll through the feed here, make sure I don't miss anyone. I've got 1 for DNA. Let's see. I've got 1 for Lion. I've got another 1 for Lion. So I got 2 to 1. Lion, DNA. Oh, I scrolled too fast. I got a third 1 for Lion in round 2. And I got a 4th. So round 2. So we got 1-on-1. This is exactly how I wanted it to be. I can feel it. I can feel it. So round 1 to DNA. Round 2 goes the Lion's Share. Round 3, judges. Now you just get to speak it. You get to say something to both teams, but first just say your vote, and then say something to both teams. So Scott, we will start with you because we would not be here as an industry without you, sir. So you get to say who you pick as your round 3 winner overall.
I'm going with DNA.
All right, DNA.
I think you know how you're going to grit it out. Susan, I think you have a huge opportunity. I'm concerned that you might have to fight the battle on too many fronts, but I would love to be proven wrong.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So 1 vote DNA for the title. Corey.
Okay, great work, both of you. This is very hard, but I think Anthony, I have to give it to you because I think it's clear, and I agree with Scott. Get one thing done, and Susan, I guess the one thing I would suggest is more firms die from indigestion than starvation. And if you try to do too much, you just set the table for somebody else. So, the early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. So I would say that, so Anthony, it's focused, and I like the social mission. So right on, make the world a better place.
Awesome. All right. So we are coming around to Ron.
My choice in round 3 is DNA. Anthony, you have a fabulous platform. I love everything within the metaverse. I love how you can interchange just visions, clothes, looks of the avatars. It really reminds me of Ready One, and I'm love that. So I choose you as my 3rd round winner. As far as oh my goodness. As far as Susan's concerned, I'm sorry. I really like the platform. I enjoyed the cube and everything else, but it just seems like so much is going on. It's like I was really lost in almost in the second round with the change in direction. So I just feel there's a lot going on, and if you could just focus in on one thing, I think it would be beneficial to your company.
All right. So consistent feedback there. Now, that means, but we're going to hold the thing because we all kind of know the outcome here, but it is important that we understand the other 2 judges. So Wendell, let's go with you. Where did you go with your 3rd round score?
I went DNA, but weirdly, I went DNA for 2 reasons. One, timing. I mean, it's super relevant. It's right now. It's immediate. And the second thing, which was my quirk at first, is Anthony really made it clear that they take half off of the first VIG for their work and their research, but to give a creator that powerful of an asset that they can make 2nd, 3rd round VIGs off of, like that's a game changer. So for what I thought I didn't like, for you to clarify that made it that much more powerful. As far as the 5G thing, it's just timing. We just have to wait and see how 5G can sustain, when it's going to get here. And for me, relevancy is current, and that was my choice.
Okay, awesome. Final and certainly most representative of why we're here tonight. Martin, final comments, final vote.
Yeah, Anthony, hats off to you, man. That is a cool product. I think really what got me was the encapsulation of the idea put as simply as create to earn. I think a lot of times, these platforms become so robust that the creators lose sight of like really what they're meant to do on it and how they're actually supposed to add value to these platforms. And I think this is just very clear. I think another thing that you said was how you democratize the whole process. I feel like I can get up on there right now and really start hacking away at it. Yeah. And I think really that's what's going to, a big theme that I think about with blockchain right now and cryptos in general is just distribution. And I think this is going to distribute it to the masses very quickly in a way that they don't even need to understand what NFTs are or blockchain, and they can already start playing around with it. And I think the play aspect here is what's going to get people addicted and creative. And I think new business models can really sprout from this. Susan, I think your idea, wow, like it's the conceptual framework. I think I agree with everyone else. It's needed, right? To be able to have your self-driving Tesla be able to gas itself up and make sure that nobody's stealing money from you on the way, and have this whole like world connected. And I really think that's what's going to push everything forward. I just think with the amount of capital too, it just poses a huge risk to kind of overconquer a lot of these barriers. And I think at this point, even as I think about it personally as an investment, I don't know how much a check of my size can really move the needle with I think some of the big goals that you're trying to hit. But besides that, I think the quality every year just gets better and better with the Sandcastle event. And this was just an enjoyment to be a part of. And I can't wait to follow up and kind of see where everybody's at, even in a few months down the road.
Awesome. Well, I want to say the final thing, just to thank every single one of you competitors. I mean, just a tremendous job. Like this does get better every year, but it's because the caliber, the thoughtfulness, the tech, I mean, and even to the showcases, obviously Ryan and I'm a huge fan of what Ryan's doing and whatever, but Mike, because I see you're still here too, and just want to call out the amount of development and thought that's going into the products we're seeing, whether it's showcases or competitors, just tremendous. So happy to give away 12.5 to DNA. It was earned. It was a tight 2 to 3 round battle. Susan, I love your vision, of what we're doing. I think the feedback and consensus is valuable. I think it's pretty on the nose. You don't have to wonder if 5 disparate smart minds and now my own are not valid. We love what you're doing, and we want to find a way through the mentorship side of this thing to help you continue to focus and harness in on the steps that we can get to that market and take some of that capital risk out of it. Because I think, there are some low-hanging fruits, as you know, and hopefully this was valuable to both of you. But thank you, guys. You're both winners tonight. DNA, congratulations. You are this year's champion.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That's a show.
Okay, wait a minute. Where is the round of applause for Chris, guys?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris.
I appreciate it. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.